Bonjour, Kinawea. Good morning everybody. Minogi Jep, Mugaman Nemanagoshin Guakas at Chinakaz, Bajunang Donji, Gijak Dodem. Good morning everybody. I send greetings, Gimak. Good morning to all the chiefs, all the leadership that are here today. I'm honored to be able to speak to you today, and it's been an honor to be able to speak with you while I was here all week. It's so nice to touch base with you, and I've been in this circle for upwards of almost 20 years as a chief like you from the villages, from the communities in Ontario. And it's always good to come to the big smoke. We've been coming to Toronto forever and a day, and it's so nice to gather with so many nations here in Toronto. I also want to make mention of the wonderful opportunity I had this morning to sit with our grandfather drum and sit with our ancestors with these Eagle staffs and sit with the elders that are here today, our youth, our community members, our women. It's truly an honor to be among you today. I wanted to talk to you, even if I could briefly, to share with you the focus of the work that I've been doing in the last while in my pursuit of the role as your next national chief. And I continually remind myself of the beautiful teachings that elders have given me back home in regards to our relationship. And they continually remind me to minimize, like many chiefs in the room, to minimize the Indian Act, to give value to our pre-existing inherent obligations that we inherited from the Creator, that we inherited from our ancestors. And I'm reminded of the full canoe. And when our people made their way to treaty, we came to those treaty gatherings with our canoes. And we sat in our canoes, and in our canoes were our language, our law, our people, our spirituality. All those things that it is to be a nation. We also had the deer, the fish, the moose, the water. We had the trees, the flora, the fauna. Our canoe was so full it barely rode above the water. And when we arrived at treaty making, we saw these big canoes that were pulled by the cloud, that were pushed by the clouds, and those were the tall ships. And their boats were so light because they had nothing in them. They rode really high in the water. And we entered into discussions. And at the end of those discussions, we ended up signing and entering into an agreement. And then the elder said, guess what we had when we left? He said, we still had our language, our law, our people, our spirituality, everything that it is to be a nation, including the moose, the deer, the trees, the flora, the fauna, the water, the forest, everything that we inherited from the Creator. We still had it all. We gave them a little bit. There is this fallacy that's happening in Canada that we gave them everything, that we gave up all of our inheritance, and we didn't. And as I look around this room here and I see all these nations that are in Ontario, each one of us have retained our inherent rights and jurisdictions. We have retained and entered into various degrees of relationships with the newcomers to our lands. And it's that variance that I also recognize from coast to coast to coast. There's all kinds of nations all across the country that have varying expectations. There's pre-Confederation treaties, there's modern treaties, and there are those nations that don't have any treaties and are not interested in any treaties, are going to maintain and retain all of their rights. We all have different expectations. There is no one size fits all as I go across the country. Each one of you has different expectations, and each one of you deserves to have a table set according to your expectation of your agreement that you have with representatives of the Crown. But not only that, we have relations amongst ourselves that are just as important, and we need to really champion each other, stand up our role models, bring our issues to light, and minimize the value of these new governments on our land. Our cultural self-esteem can take us a long way as far as our own healing is concerned. What we see with the violence, with the addictions, all of these social issues, what we're seeing are symptoms. The root, in my mind, is the colonization and the theft of those things that we had inherited and we had every intent to see to be maintained as they once again come to fruition. So I'm looking forward to your questions, and then we'll see you around the room a little later on as well.
Agora,